Okay, coming back, coming back. Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, very
Okay,
well.
fantastic. All right. So just as a bit of an introduction, we got this map off the internet, and it shows the two different parts of Malaysia. Peninsular Malaysia on the left, which is the one that more people are familiar with, and the large part of Malaysia that's also on the island of Borneo on the right-hand side. It's the Sarawak there. And this trip involves only peninsular Malaysia. I've driven across the Borneo part also, but many years in the past. Are we okay there? Yeah, okay, good, good. I can see that. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So I'm going to switch to the map that shows our particular travels. This map on the left-hand side shows our travels, and our stops were marked with the little red circles. We started in KL. Okay, babe, I can take over. That's good. We started off in KL. There's a very, very cheap airline that flies from Brisbane to KL. And they were talking about Malaysia at the moment. It's locked down. Like many countries, it's locked down. You can't get in or out. So no tourists right now. But we can fly into KL, and then we planned a trip mostly by bus, but also by local airline, which will come up as we go through. And I'm sure that most of the names, if not all of the names on the right-hand side of the screen, nobody's ever heard of them. They're different cities in Malaysia that we stopped off in. So there's our start, the little purple line right next to the capital, KL. KL is a big city, maybe 4 or 5 million people, and certainly the economic and center of the country. And one of the reasons that we went to Malaysia was at that time we were members of the Affordable Travel Club, and they had a couple there, and that's their high-rise building. And they picked us up. I think the airport is pretty far from town, but we took the shuttle bus and they picked us up from the train station, and so it was all very easy. And there's the couple. I imagine most people don't know, but the country of Malaysia, although you don't hear a lot about it in the news, they also have racial divides in that country. About 30% of the people are of Chinese extraction, and about 60% of the people are Malay, which is a more native original natives, and you know, the odd white guy like on the right, and some Indian residents also. So they hosted us for 2 or 3 nights and gave us the opportunity to walk around KL. There's one of our breakfasts. I think they had a friend over. As always, you get treated like kings when you are traveling, and you know, you're a special guest. So I think it was an accident, but we found ourselves in KL on the National Day, the Day of Independence from Great Britain, I think in the early 1960s. So that's a great celebration, just like Independence Day is in the United States. And much to our surprise, much like Americans, on Independence Day, the national flags were all over the place, and lots of crowds, of course. These are just a few street scenes in downtown KL. And of course, many of the buildings are normal and many are abnormal. You can see the big flag up on the top of the building there. Lots of that. The army always makes a show in that way, similar to other countries. And I took this picture because I thought it was a great contrast. KL is like most Asian cities in that it's undergone tremendous modernization, but every once in a while you come across an old building, and that one was nestled among the skyscrapers. And that building is the most famous one in KL. I think it was the tallest building in the world when it was built. And that's a big tourist attraction, but it's interesting that you can be walking through a kind of like a slum area and get that building. in your shot. And we were walking around there, and we didn't know what to do, but this is just, we found this fantastic restaurant, and these two girls were selling you can see between the two of them, you can see the pot of rice. And so Sandar decided that she wanted to look Malaysian. That's the other thing that you will notice as we continue, that I mentioned about 60% of the country is Malays, and most of them are Muslim. But the Muslim way of appearing in Malaysia is nowhere near like what you see in other Muslim countries that make the news. The most striking difference is the colors, which you'll see a lot of. And here's some famous and one not so famous person in Malaysia. I always like to take pictures of signs that I would never see anywhere else. And this one is, even though you don't necessarily have the ability to read Malay, I think you can understand the idea that they don't like white people dressing up like idiots. Here's some of the people with, again, just like America, you know, you see people dressed up in American flags, even when they're attacking the American Capitol. But here on the National Day, they dress up with the Malay flag as their dress. This guy on the right, I kind of thought it was an American guy at first. It kind of looked like it to me until I got close.
Hey, Ron, on that previous slide where you had this billboard, is that directed at the tourists? They want the tourists to look better?
Well, to me, when I look at the picture, I see people who look like Malays on the left, and I see dirty, rotten hippies from England and the United States on the right. What do you see? I don't know. I'm guessing.
Well, I mean, it could be any tourist. I mean,
could be.
Yeah, it looks like ordinary dress to me.
Yeah.
Sandar tells me she thinks it's for the locals.
To not copy the rest of us.
Lots of crowd scenes here, and everybody was dressed up, and we stand out anyways because of the way we dress and the way we carry ourselves. But you know, in that area where they were celebrating the National Day, 99% of the people were local. So whenever I'm sticking around with my camera, you get a lot of attention. So the girls are anxious to say hi. Here's a couple of kids. And another thing that I like to do is whenever people are posing for their relative to take a picture, I like to jump in and get the picture too. So, you know. Lots of women in the Army, I guess. I'm not sure whether Army service is mandatory there, but I think it just might be conscription. And we always get our pictures with the highest ranking officials. And this was a centerpiece. They had a large gathering of people, all mandatorily dressed in white, with the small flags to hold up. And I wanted to get a good picture of it, you know, like just with the people there, but I couldn't get in because there were so many crowds in front. But the next day, when we opened the newspaper, I saw the picture that I wanted. There's the picture that I wanted. I wanted to just get those people in the crowd, but I couldn't get right to the front. So I had to make do with the less quality shot. And yeah, so we were walking around looking for a place to eat, and we found this fabulous place, really, really good, where they served, you know, you had many, many pots, and you just you just point to whatever you want. And so it was really, really good. Very cheap too. And again, that's the thing that I do whenever I see something that I haven't seen before, not likely to see in other countries. I've never seen such wildly colored bicycle wheels.
Here's a question that just popped up, Ron. How do you decide where it's safe to eat?
We eat anything. Everywhere is safe. One of the things that I would try and do, I always try and do it, and I have very little success at it, is I try and convince people that anybody can do what we do. Anybody can land in KL, get on buses, go around, walk around, buy food, find a place to stay. Anybody can do this. Many people, especially older people, are afraid. They have to go on tours. I try and explain to them that as a tourist, as an obvious foreigner, you will never be stranded. Somebody will always help you. My guess in Malaysia is, it's only a guess, maybe 30% of the people speak good English. But if you're in a place where there is nobody that speaks English, they will find somebody. They will find somebody to help you. It's absolutely no trouble at all.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Sandar says if you see locals at the restaurant, that's a good restaurant. We run. Yeah, so after we spent 3 or 4 days in KL, we headed out on the bus cross country. You might find it funny, but we had to make the story. We headed to that town because we had to make in Australia a reservation at a hotel for $50 a night, which was way above what we normally pay. But we have this special deal where we get travel insurance for free if we spend $500, committed before you leave the country per person. And with the airplane flights return, plus 2 airplane flights inside the country that we had prearranged, we weren't up to the 500 yet. So we had to find a hotel that we would reserve. So we picked one on the internet, and that was of course, it was the best hotel that we stayed in. So that was in that small town. I forget the name now. Kuantan. I see it written there.
And what was it if you spent $500?
If we spent $500 per person, we got our travel insurance for free for the trip.
Okay.
Yeah, just in case you get sick or something, So it turned out that Kuantan, and this is true about cities in Malaysia, they vary a lot in respect to the type of population that's living there. And Kuantan was mostly a Malay city, so most of the residents were Muslim, so they had a gigantic temple, and we saw a lot of the Muslim aspect of the country in that city. So actually, I got to go around that temple, and I'll show some pictures of that. Yeah, once again, the entrance to the temple is all festooned with flags for that National Day celebration. There's some more pictures of the temple. Of course, I guess they have a free library like I have. I suspect that the books are Muslim religious books, but I didn't check. Yeah, so on the left is a picture of the inside of the temple. And on the right is the picture how I had to dress to be allowed to go inside. My regular dress didn't cover up my body enough. So they had this raincoat type thing that I had to put on. It was funny. I was the only person inside the temple at the time. And we found that, again, people don't know about these other countries. Gigantic shopping, fantastic shopping. And this was, again, this is a town of maybe, I'm guessing 50,000 people, something like that. And they had this great shopping center. And I took a few pictures in there. Oh yeah, and this was one of our restaurants there the first night. There'd be a lot of eating pictures. They get sick of the eating pictures. We had one of the main things of traveling to Asian countries like Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, so on is fantastic food, fantastic food.
Can you tell us what's on the plates?
That's satay, chicken satay. I think that word is familiar to Americans. And, fruit drinks, mixed up fruit drinks. But most of them I won't be able to tell you. I won't be able to tell you. This is the thing that we discovered in Malaysia that is so fantastic. It's called sendal, and it's kind of like their national dessert, and you'll be seeing that show up often also. I think it has fruit and shaved ice and cream in it and different things. We loved it, and every time we saw it, we bought it.
What language are the menus in?
Did we see English? Yeah, I've got some menu pictures, so you'll see.
Okay.
But the menus all have pictures, so you don't have to know the words. You just look and but everything is good. It doesn't matter what you eat. You pick anything. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So again, my penchant for the written word and the signs. I love this. Like here's what you're allowed to do on the escalator, and here's what you're not allowed to do on the escalator. And you'll never get away with a travelogue from me in Asia without motorcycle pictures. So one of the things that is true is like this is a tiny motorcycle by engine size, a 200cc. They would laugh at this in North America or Europe, but fantastic bikes they make. Fantastic. I got that. Okay, next city. We wanted to go to a beach resort, even though we don't swim all that much, but being on the beach is nice. So just up the road was this small town called Cherating, and we just took a local bus and they dropped us off at the corner, and we had to walk maybe half a mile or so to get into the town, and we walked around and we picked the best looking resort that they had there. There was very few people there and quite cheap. This is a picture of the grounds of the resort from the front of our cabin. I think most of the places that we stayed in Malaysia probably cost us about what, $20, $25? Yeah, about $20, $25 a night. There's a loving couple. And very, very amusingly and surprising to us, the manager of the resort was a Burmese guy. There are a lot of Burmese that are living in Malaysia. More economic opportunity for them there, and the manager was a Burmese, so Sandar and he got along well, and we got a lot of extra information from him because he could speak his native language. And one day he was going shopping to the market, so he took us to the market. That fruit in the front is that durian? It's durian, eh? Yeah, durian is a fantastic thing. You might hear a little bit about it. People say that it smells bad, but it tastes fantastic. And I doubt if anybody can recognize this. We couldn't recognize it when we saw them, but they are the instruments that are used for making batik. And as we were wandering around through town and trying to figure out what to do, Sandar said, "Oh, look, there's a batik school. I want to learn how to do batik." So she learned how to do batik. And this is the very beginning of her batik class. 2 teachers, 1 student. And there she is doing more batik. Oh, wow. And continue. Then it was like a copy. They gave her an example, and then she had to do one similar to the example, but she could choose her own color scheme. So
was that like a coloring book? Or did she actually have to do the design?
No, you didn't do the design. Was it like a blank one, baby, or what?
It's a blank one. You have to trace.
Yeah, it had the lines on it. It had the lines. Yeah, she had the color in, but yeah, like paint by numbers or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
So the professional one is on the right, and the picture on the left, and the one that Sandar is doing is on the left.
What fun!
And then finally, when it was over, I took this picture. So the one that they had is on the left, and Sandar's one is on the right. It's a faithful reproduction, but the actual figures, I think, are not so noticeable. Where is that, baby? Where is it? You have it here?
Yeah.
Yeah, but she has it here, but it's not on display in our house. Okay, so another activity in Cherating, I can see this is going to go longer than an hour. Because I'm only up to number 50 and there's 300 pictures. Another activity in Cherating is going out at night in a boat to look at fireflies. And this guy who amazingly, was also Burmese. He ran the Firefly expedition. And he said, very probably correct. Anybody can take you out to show you fireflies when you're on the water, but I'm the only one who can call the fireflies to our boat. Which was correct. That's what he did. So here he's demonstrating how he's going to call the fireflies when we get out in the boat. And unfortunately, here's some more, like firefly information. And unfortunately, can't get all that great pictures of the fireflies in the dark. Can just get pictures of tourists. Okay, next city. Again, we took the bus. This was a longer ride up to another city that we'd never heard of before, Terengganu. Again, turned out to be a mostly Malay city. And the thing that I remember most about that, I think we were only there one night, fantastic market, which you will see. There's the entrance to the market, all lit up. And here's some of the ladies that are selling food. And I always like to take, like I say, this is not the type of Muslim dress that you often see on TV, These ladies, they dress up fantastic, really fantastic. And here's some of the food. The one on the left, we may have bought, I think we bought some of those red things. The one on the right, I kind of laughed at because I didn't think you could buy that garbage food in Malaysia. It looks to me like potato chips, French fries with some kind of sauce on it. We passed on that. You can eat that in any country. And here's some more, I think that on the left, that's like fried chicken. And just to give you a perspective, the sign that's in front says 2 for 1 ringgit. A ringgit is about 25 cents American. So there were two pieces for a quarter. And I see the ones behind, 3 pieces for a quarter. And here's back at our hotel, because durian has such a bad reputation for smell, they put the sign, you're not allowed to eat durian and mangosteen. I don't know what the problem is. I know mangosteen, the juice comes out and it would go all over the bedclothes and stuff. So we didn't bring any durian or mangosteen back into the hotel, but we did bring assortment of other food that we bought. And there we are eating it on our bed. We spread it out. We didn't know what any of it was, but it was delicious. We didn't know what it was. Can they see all the picture on the right, baby? Because part of ours is covered, but not theirs. Okay.
No, we can see all of it. Yeah.
You can see all of it. Okay. I've got some small pictures of people on the right. Okay, so the next stop was a big disappointment for us. Many years ago, I had a backpacker friend, who had gone to the Perhentian Islands. Palau is the name for island in the Malay language. And she said it was the best place that she'd ever visited. So we went there. It's only for tourists. It's like little islands off the coast. You take a boat, and it was quite a disappointment. And here we are waiting for the boat. That's Sandar's meal. And here we are on the boat. It was windy. And here's one of the islands. When you get on the boat, you can pick to stop at any of 3 or 4 islands. And this was one that we did not pick. So we got a picture of it from the boat. But the island that we did pick turned out to be mostly resorts, mostly for Malays. And one of the things that you might find interesting, you might not know it, if you look on the lower left-hand side of the picture, you'll see that it's common for the Malay women to go into the swimming pool fully dressed. They don't remove anything to go swimming. And we lost some of the pictures, but these pictures are actually from our picture album that we make up. And these are the only ones that we have of us on the beach and around the beach. We rented a kayak one day, and we went to another part of the island, and that was good. Okay, so now we're back. Yep, go ahead.
So that was disappointing?
Yeah, it was a tourist area, mostly for other Malay tourists. you know, it was not as good food because, you know, and surly attendants, you know, they weren't just, you know, when you travel as a tourist from a Western country and you're in an area where not many people go, people are they love to see you. But if you're just one of many, many tourists, you just get, you know, cursory treatment, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah, but also it was cloudy. So, you know, many reasons. And maybe we just picked the wrong island. You know, if we'd stopped at another island. When we were waiting for the bus or the boat, we were asking the guy, you know, how do we pick? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And the guy named one island and, you know, we went with his recommendation. We didn't know. Okay, so now we're up to the very northern part of the country, again on a bus. And this also turned out to be a Malay, mostly city, a much bigger city, and had a lot of good attractions there. We really enjoyed that. Yeah. And the guest house that we stayed at, I think we'd seen it on the internet, and we got off the bus and we phoned the guy or something, and he came and picked us up and he took us to the guest house, and we were the only people in the guest house, so we had the whole house to ourselves. And he said, oh, what day is it? And we said, oh, I think it's Wednesday. And I said, oh yeah, okay. Wednesday they have the display at the local cultural center. Would you like to go? And we said, sure. So he said, okay, I'll pick you up. I'll take you there. And then you call me and I'll pick you up and take you back. So that's what we did. This is, they put on a thing for tourists or visitors. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. There's the drummer and then the new amateur drummer on the right. And a lady explaining, they had many, many like different Malay native activities going on at that cultural center. There's playing some instruments. And this was free. Oh, my aunt told me last time I said free too many times, so I won't say free too many times. Fighting, wrestling to music. And I like this one. these young girls playing some kind of native Malay game. And as you can see, they've got a lot of attraction. My guess is that those might be Chinese tourists. What do you think, Dave? Can you tell? Yeah, Sandar thinks they're Chinese tourists also.
Ron, I have a question.
Yep.
I have a sense of what the answer might be, but to what degree do you plan ahead? And to what degree do you plan slightly ahead, like when you get there for the next few days? And to what degree is it entirely serendipitous depending on the moment?
Yeah, I think we more or less planned our stops just by looking at the road map. And as I mentioned before, we had to make the first hotel reservation. We knew we were going to go, but yeah, as far as the bus and stuff was concerned, we didn't plan that ahead. We knew that you could get a bus from one city to another, and the guy in charge of the hotel would help us out. So, you know, I'd say half planned ahead and half just as we're going. This guy was making some kind of kites. And again, painting, native painting. There's some of the paintings, painting. I have that plant in my backyard. Do you remember the name, dude? No, I can't remember. Beautiful flower. Yeah, so one of the attractions in this town is a fantastic market. And it's in a very interesting building with a number of floors. So we wanted to see that, and I took a bunch of pictures of the market. A lot of vegetables and fruit. If you look on the left, you can see the food market is downstairs, and then there's 3 or 4 floors above there that I took the picture on the right from, where they have clothing and those kinds of stuff. And we spent a lot of time there, and we bought some stuff there. There's looking at different things. Spices, don't know what it is, but the price is about $4 or so, $4 or $5 a kilogram, $2 a pound, something like that. And chickens, you get lots of choice with the chickens, and you don't even have to take the feathers off yourself. They do all that work for you. And the cloth, the clothing, as you could tell from looking at the odd person, is fantastic and unbelievably cheap. Unbelievably cheap. I wanted to buy all that stuff to make new curtains out of. Dresses too, just beautiful. Just really, really, you know, it really look good. That dress, that red one on the left, that's 39 ringgit, so that's about $10, $10 US.
Well, I hope Sandar bought that one.
I could take the thing around to the cupboard. You can see she got not too much space for new clothes. Yeah, even the headdresses, you know, very imaginative, very imaginative. And here's the cloth that I would love to have for curtains or for covering furniture. That's $1 a meter. $1, three ringgit 60, $1 a meter. And there's Sandar buying some stuff. And I'm always on the lookout for new hats. I like that hat, but unfortunately it doesn't cover my nose enough from the sun. So I had to give it a pass, but I'd never seen a hat like that before. And there we are with another sendal, our favorite dessert. And they had a really good museum there, a big museum grounds. So we walked around there and that's the biggest rowboat I ever seen in my life. And even the toilet looked great. So I took a picture of the toilet. Yeah, the signs. Beware of snatch thieves. We never had a problem with snatch thieves, but obviously somebody in that area had a snatch thief event. So you can see where it's a danger sign, like in Quebec, they're allowed to put it in both languages. This is the grounds of the museum. Now I took a number of pictures of buildings also, so just to show the types of buildings. And somebody at one time explained this one to me, but I don't remember it. Again, it's some kind of warning. I don't know. Anybody can read Malay? Don't do something or do something. And here's another one. This was outside the high school, and I don't really know. I suspect that part of it was no kissing, but it might be no whispering. I'm looking at that sign with the lipstick. Obviously no smoking, and the top one is probably wear your ID card.
Would it not be no lipstick? Maybe.
No lipstick. Yeah, it could be no lipstick. Don't wear lipstick. You'd think it would have a cross on it if it was no, though. So I don't know. So another thing that I noticed about Asia, you know, they do things so much better than we do in so many ideas. And one thing is, maybe not so common in America, but very common here in Australia for people to have fences around their front yard. And often they put up like a fence where you can't even see through it. You know, they're making fences out of steel panels now. But in Malaysia, they know how to make a fence. That's what I call a fence, you know, stainless steel. I mean, how much would you pay for that, you know, in Terre Haute, Indiana? $1 trillion. And yet you see this type of thing everywhere there. You know, they know what a fence should look like. You know, look at this. You know, go down to your local welder and tell them to make up one of those. Crazy.
Wow, they're gorgeous.
You know, yeah. Wow, I would love, what you do is you go to Malaysia, you go into the little shop, and you get the guys and you take them back to America or Australia and say, you know, here, work here for a month, make a fence for me. Yeah, so this was some kind of observation tower, and again, just some buildings. Oh, yeah. So one of the things that we did was we said, we were right near the Thai border. And as you may know, Thai people are mostly Buddhist. Malays are mostly Muslim, but right near the border, there'd be crossover, you know? So we had heard that there were really good Buddhist temples near this town. So we asked our host at the guest house, get us a taxi driver. So we hired the taxi driver for the day. I think it cost about $40 for the day. And he drove around and took us to all this stuff. And as you can see, I'm quite brave with the crocodiles. So again, you know, these places are empty. You know, when we went there, there was nobody else there. And they're just fantastic. It's $1 trillion to make this stuff. Look at the size of the statue on the right-hand side, you know, towering over the 3 or 4 story building. Lots of snakes. And here's my lovely wife trying to replicate the lady in the moat. A few close-up pictures. Another thing that you may have seen is one of the Buddhist tradition is to put gold leaf on the statues, and that's what has been done there. Gold leaf as a donation. And another thing that is common in the Buddhist places of worship is what I would call replication. You know, like you don't just see one of something, you see lots of them. And I don't know for sure, but I suspect that each of these statues is an attempt to show the personage of one of the monks who may have been there for years and then died. I don't know that, but they look like different faces to me. Again, another thing about Buddhism, there's a lot of warnings about doing the wrong thing, and you'll see more of that. That statue. So in the paintings, they depict scenes from Buddha's life in the past, and this is one of those. And the other thing that they do is they show paintings and drawings and dioramas of what happens to you after you die if you do not behave well on earth. And this is one of those pictures. This is people who did not behave well on earth are getting their just rewards after they die. Karma. So if you lie, for example, if you lie on earth, they pour molten liquid down your throat after you die. Or they pull out your tongue. What, nobody laughing? All right, so more pictures just around the grounds of the Buddhist temples that we visited. And this is another one, different one. Yeah, look at how much would it cost to make such a thing? Fantastic, that's fantastic. And another feature of Buddhism is the lying down Buddha. And some places have very big examples of the lying down Buddha. And again, this is like, these statues are behind the lying down Buddha. Most people would never even bother to go and see these ones, but I consider even something like that fabulous. And again, don't know for sure, but I would believe this would be like what they do in Western countries where you give some money to the church and they put your name on a little brick, or they put your name on the seat. You know, here, if you give the money, they make a little drawing or a statue with your dedication and your name on it. And this is funny. This is where it's your fortune. You have a bunch of sticks and you put some money in and you pick a stick out, and then the stick has a number on it. And then you go to the box and you pull out your fortune associated with the number on the stick. And again, you know, who has chairs like this in their house? I want them. I want them. They also had in the museum there, they had a story on the Japanese attack. I don't know if people know it, but the Japanese landed in southern Thailand and northern Malaysia at the same time that they bombed Pearl Harbor. And they went down the Malay Peninsula on bicycles through the rubber plantations and eventually conquered Singapore. And these are the descriptions of the final stand of the British in Singapore. That's a little bit of story, much too fast to read. So now we're back in the shopping center. We found a shopping center, of course, and here they have a display of exercise machines, obviously trying to sell them. And again, I love going shopping in Asia because you see so much stuff that you don't see in other places. They love candy. Dentists must have a good business. Here's what I like. Boy, oh boy. Now that one on the left, now that's a watch. I've never seen a watch with 3 faces on it before. I so much wanted one of those watches, but could not. And I ended up getting my fancy watch in the US. I don't know if you can see. No, I can't. That's a fancy one I could buy in the US for $10. But in Malaysia, I could have got a much better one. That one with the 3 watch faces, man, that's a good one. Exercise chairs. Yeah, sunglasses. Yeah. We even bought a pair of those. You can see what you don't even need lenses. Looking through the tiny little dots, your vision suddenly becomes better. I don't know if I can see the thing or not. Okay. So here's some of the stuff you can buy to eat. And Kathleen was asking about the menus. What language are they in? Well, that menu is not in English, that's for sure. And on the left, I would guess that most people couldn't figure out what you're looking at, but you're looking at bread. That's loaves of bread or buns made to shape like pig.
Goodness.
Or added attraction. That's a sendal. We were eating at this restaurant, and then as we were leaving, we saw this sendal, and we said, "Oh, fantastic!" But we were full. We had our full meal. We'd had everything, and we didn't know that they sold this. So we said to ourselves, "Okay, no problem. We'll walk around town, and we'll come back around 4 o'clock, and then our stomachs will be empty again, and we'll have it." So we go back at 4 o'clock, and we go up and ask the guy, 2 sendal. "Oh, sorry, sendal all sold out." So we missed our chance. So we never had that gigantic sendal.
Hey, Ron, a comment on that Babe bread. That's a cultural reference, interestingly, to the movie Babe. Have you seen the movie
Yeah,
Babe?
maybe. Yeah,
and maybe. Very interesting. Maybe many people would miss that. I don't know. You should watch the movie if you haven't. It's a good movie.
Yeah, no, we've seen the movie. It's on TV every 4th day here because it's a fat Australian girl.
There was a comment too that in a Muslim country, would people eat pig bread?
Yeah, I don't know.
Actually, that photo was in Penang.
Okay, so that photo took place in another city with a high proportion of Chinese ethnics, which we're going to get to. I hope. I see only 14 minutes left here. I have to rush.
By the way, let me just interject. In Victoria, Chinatown, Victoria, there's a bakery that bakes every kind of shape of bread, like different animals and alligators and stuff.
Yeah, penis bread. Yeah, we've seen it. Okay, so from Kota Buru, you can see on the left-hand side, we went to the largest tourist place in Malaysia, one that's really well known internationally. It's called the island of Penang. The main city is called Georgetown, and we flew. We took a small airplane, prop airplane, and we had arranged that ahead of time. So that was like it was stupidness, like $25, to fly across the mountains and land in Penang. And Penang is, like I say, a really good town. And it's a modern town, lots of high-rise. I think a lot of Malays have like their vacation condo in Penang, and they fly from KL and so on, and maybe other nationalities also. Mostly the Chinese, yeah. Well, it's like I said before, you know, it's the same as other countries with ethnic mixes, you know. The Chinese people in that country are the ones that make all the money, and the Malays like to have a good time, you know. In Fiji, it's the same. The Indians make all the money, and the Fijians have a good time. So, anyways. So here's some more pictures of the high-rise buildings. I would guess mostly condos for resident or part-time resident. And again, I'm going to go through some of these. I thought this was a very interesting way to clean the windows. And on the left-hand side, you can see that one of the things that I'm sure would never fit in the condos on Miami Beach, people put their washout to dry. And some of the hotels are really interesting design. I like that one. But that one, I really like that one. That's a hotel. And some old buildings too in Penang. So in Penang, most people, there's like a mountain that overlooks the main city, and you can take a cable car up there. But we found out it's an old mosque, some buildings. Strange things, no idea why that's there. The secret of irresistible pastry. So we in Penang, we had prearranged this. I knew that there were motorcycles to rent in Penang, and we really like going around Asia on a motorcycle. So we were able to rent a Vespa there. And right after we rented it, it started to rain. So that's why I was all kitted up. But we had that bike for maybe 4 or 5 days, and we went all over the island on it. This is one of the tourist attractions up at the top. Here I am on the left-hand side using my motorcycle skills to ride the bull. And this is the view from the top of the mountain. So it was much better to take the motorcycle up there. Beautiful, windy road and free. Okay, people's car was $10. And the motorcycle only cost $10 a day to rent. So you could do much more with it. Yeah, this was a hotel up there, and nice. Hey, the guy had an old MGTF and this restaurant. And we found this small little road with really, really neat houses on it. So we went up there and took a couple of pictures. There's one of the houses. Very good design. Nice flowers. Interesting house. And also, again, Penang also near the Thai border. So they have a very, very big Buddhist temple there. Oh, you'll like this. Here, you make a donation and you pick your future. What is important to you? World peace, becoming booming business, or would you like to have success in everything, or would you like to have smooth working conditions? You can pick whichever you feel is important to you after you've made your donation. I thought this was funny. On the left-hand side is a sign that says, when you go into the temple, you know, don't wear your shoes. Don't wear your shoes here. Please put your shoes on the rack. Thank you very much. Then when you go over on the right-hand side of the rack, it says, beware of shoe thieves. So again, big temple, lying Buddha, many, many other statues. Absolute, yeah. By luck, when we went into this temple, we saw the guys constructing these things, and I'll show you the pictures of that. There's some more statues. So here's a guy doing the construction of one of these serpents. And on the left-hand side, you can see the unconstructed part, and on the right, you can see the constructed part. And he is preparing the individual pieces. And here it shows you, each one of these squares is another 20 little squares, and each one is individually glued on by hand. And, you know, if you look back at how big these things are, they're gigantic. Look at the length of that serpent, and every part of the body is, you know, gold leaf or gold appearing color individually stuck on. Here's a gold leaf statue. Here again, these are like tombs or people who were members of this temple and died. And I think Sandar said these were probably Dubai Buddhas. Again, how many Buddhas can you get into one picture? Thousands and thousands. Also signs, it takes you a half an hour to read the sign, but basically it's things that you can't do. Don't bet, don't gamble, don't quarrel, be silent, don't drink liquor, don't smoke, don't climb or sit on the statues. English and Chinese. And here's another one telling you how lucky you are. Now this sign, this is one of my, I like these signs because it's, if you look at the sign and you have some knowledge, it could only be in one place. So the top language is Thai because they would get a lot of Thai visitors. The middle language, of course, is English, and the third language is Chinese. And they have Australia on the map. Again, all kinds of information. Picture a part of the temple grounds. I go. See, another good motorcycle picture. Fantastic. And you'll see the little, I don't know where my cursor is. If you look between the front of the motorcycle and the gold part, that's where you can store stuff to take your groceries. And there's another great Asian motorcycle. And another great Asian motorcycle. As we were driving around Georgetown, we also stumbled onto an Indian temple. These pictures are the Indian temple. India. This was in the middle of nowhere. We're just driving along and there it was. And right nearby, there was a whole bunch of people watching something and we couldn't figure out what they were watching. They all seemed to be intent on something. Ah, monkeys. Monkeys putting on a show for the tourists. Old man monkey. Nice flowers, more nice flowers. The biggest lily pads we'd ever seen. More food. Yeah, I think it was Chinese New Year when we were there. So in Penang were many, many, many Chinese tourists, and many of them get around town by renting bicycles. There's a bicycle traffic jam at the stoplight. And there's some more of the fancy bicycles that they could rent. Bicycles for two. Not everybody took bicycle. Oh, I like that one. Then why can't we have that? Wicker basket for child built onto a bicycle. Fantastic. And scooter. And many Chinese tourists. They were waiting for a parade, and the parade was at night, at dusk. And I've got some pictures of the parade. It was fantastic. The pictures do not do it justice. The lighting on the floats was just unbelievable. Here's some people posing for me. I like this. I can't read it because it says, your accent is perfect or something. I think it's kind of cute. Another thing about Penang is they have many of these paintings on the walls. And the little trick that they've done is the paintings, you can't tell who's posing in front of the picture and who's doing what is the painting, It's a real circuit. People walk around town looking at these paintings. And these kids came up to us and said, can we take your picture? And I said, yeah, if I can take your picture. And this is a motorcycle with a cow skin seat. Again, lots of people. I think that boy in the picture is mussing up the lady's hair. And that one on the right, they have a motorcycle parked on the side of the building with the painting beside it. And I think all this, it's not a cracked building, you know, that's painting. And the one on the left is a real human. The ones on the right are painting. They have another type of mural on the wall too, which is like a history of Penang. And I saw this girl on her bicycle. I said, "You look very nice. Please let me take a picture of you." Yeah, so this is the other kind of painting. And there are many, many of those on the wall. Many, many, many. Really, I'd never seen that type of idea before. Yeah, a mural, and it's telling something to those who understand. Another method of transportation. I found it funny. Many of these people that were going around in these rickshaws were like making a movie with their phone as they go. So, and this was a group of motorcyclists that we saw. Most of the motorcycles in Malaysia are small, but these guys were in the giant motorcycle club, and they'd come up from KL for the day and were heading back. Yeah, another good sign. What you're not allowed at the beach, not allowed, what is it? No lewd behavior. No lewd behavior or inappropriate dress. Yeah, one day when we came out of our hotel, and we had a great hotel in Georgetown, really fantastic. Again, very cheap. We came out of the hotel and there was this car parked in front. And I said, "Oh, it must be wedding, must be wedding. Let's wait and see if anything happens." And just a few minutes later, these three girls came out. Yeah, flower girls. Fantastic. Hey, look at that. It's not your average Muslim vision, you know. And this is the parade. Again, hard to get a picture, not pushy enough to get to the front. The lighting, these pictures do not really do the floats justice. Yeah, it must need a really, really good camera. This is part of one float. You know, you can't even tell what it is. It's you know, you can't even tell. Just cornucopia of lighting and color. Yeah, so another restaurant we were looking at, and you were asking before, well, what are the languages? Well, this one seems to be in Chinese and English, but I said to Sandar, you know, don't buy us the frog one or the eel one. So I sent her up. We were trying to figure out, this was like in a food court and there were so many different choices. So I sent her up. I said, this guy looks like he knows something. Go and get his advice. What's the best thing to get here? So there's more sendal. Yeah, just, I mean, so good. How can you pass it up?
It sounds like that sendal isn't as fat as, you know, North American ice cream.
Yeah, well, it's true. You don't see so many fat people there. There's another meal we were getting. My timer just went off for an hour. Kathleen, should I quit now or should I go on a little bit?
I think you keep going.
Okay. Will you just
if anybody needs to leave, they can just sign out. But
people are dropping out, no problem. Yeah, here we were waiting. We'd pre-arranged a hotel, or not hotel, guest house, and we were waiting for the guy to pick us up. That's what happened in a lot of the towns. We'd take the bus or the, you know, to the somewhere, and then we'd phone the guy. Hey, did we phone? Yeah, we must have had the internet phone or something. We phoned the guy and he said, "Oh, I'm busy right now. Can I come and pick you up in half an hour?" So I said, "Oh, no problem. We'll have supper first." So we bought a meal and waited for him. And here's some more examples of food that we would get. The one in the middle, I know, is the chicken rice with cucumber. The other ones, don't know. Noodles. Everything is great. It doesn't matter what you order. There's no bad food. Okay, so now we're finished with Penang, this tourist city, and we took a small airplane again to Ipoh, another town that we'd never heard of before, but We looked on the map, a big city, you know, medium size. Let's go check it out. Famous for coffee, Sandar tells me. Muslim temple in Ipoh. Again, just some buildings, just to give you an idea of the style that they do. That's a world famous bank, I think. And we were drinking coffee, and we came out of the coffee place, and here's this paper airplane mural on the side of what looks like quite a decrepit wall. Oh yeah, they also had a cave. We went to a cave. I think here, yeah. This was the town where we didn't know how we were going to get around, and we went to the railway station to look around because it was a great architecture. And this guy came up to us and asked us if we wanted to rent a taxi. And we didn't know, so we kind of said no. But the guy gave us his card, and the more we said no, the price kept going down and down and down. So the next day we phoned him up, and I think it was again $40 for the day to drive us around. So we went to this cave. And in Asia, in the caves, it's not just a cave, you know, they don't waste it. It's filled with murals and statues and stories and warnings. These are all inside the cave. I have no idea what that is, but it was inside the cave. Wouldn't you like to have one of those in your living room, eh? So they warn you, eh? Visitors with heart disease, high blood pressure, balloon angioplasty, heart surgery bypassed, or bronchial asthma, don't climb. Oh. We're not responsible. And this one, there was a place outside the cave where you could walk around on steps and get up high. So they didn't want the troublemakers to throw stones at the people that didn't climb, you know. Action will be taken by the police if you throw the stones. That's the path on the right that I took up high. Get some pictures. Again, these are all pictures that either in the cave or just at the entrance to the cave. And these are the grounds behind the cave. I thought it was particularly nice. We wandered around for a while. Beautiful kind of lake with lily pads. And please don't bring your rabbit. Yeah, right. You know, all these new things you have to learn when you go to a new country. Trying to get some pictures, a lot of foliage, they're fantastic buildings, but couldn't really get to them. And they had these things in the middle of this little pond. There they are. I don't know what they were. I don't know if it's natural rock or somebody built it out of concrete. You know, fantastic. Again, can't really show it in the picture, but just a little bit. So anyways, our taxi driver, when we were finished, he said, what are you going to do now? And we said, well, we're hungry. Could you make a good suggestion? He says, yeah. He says, I know the best Indian restaurant in town. I'll take you to it. I said, great, come on, we'll buy you lunch and we'll all have lunch together. So we went to this Indian restaurant, and I saw, you can see part of the menu on the right. You can see they had to tape over because they increased the prices, you know, of some of the things, but it was a great restaurant. Really great. And he ordered, of course, to us. And it's very funny. I can remember him saying to the waiter, he said, and you know, like he ordered the food and he ordered the drinks there, you can see in the silver chalices. And he said to the waiter, he said, and don't bring us the food on those old banana leaves. We want new banana leaves, fresh banana leaves for food. So it was very good getting the guy, you know, because otherwise we wouldn't have known what to buy, and we wouldn't, you know, we wouldn't know that they would normally serve us with old banana leaves. We made sure we got the new ones. Yeah, so here he is paying the waiters. Okay, so yeah, the last city, Taiping, the last city. We took a bus. And again, a lot of pictures just of the buildings. One of the things that you see a lot in Asia, I think because of the land prices, is these tall, thin buildings, you know, like the one on the right there. It's like sandwiched in between two other buildings. Tall, thin is very common. I'm not sure. I think that might have been the city hall, Taiping. and other buildings. Building. Anybody guess what that is?
A hearse?
Yeah.
It's a hearse. It's a hearse. That's right. It's a hearse. Empty at the moment. And standing on the corner, and they were selling longans by the ton. So we bought ourselves a bunch of longans. Very good fruit. And there was one guy that came to Taiping many years ago, a white guy, English guy, and he built this kind of like mansion. And it was mostly decrepit, but it's a bit of a tourist attraction. So we went around it. It's, as you can see, not in great shape today. But I climbed up to the top of it, and they have one room in it. There, that's the only room that like restored as an example of what it was back in the 19th century when this guy built it, called Kelly's Castle. Our taxi driver knew about it, so. And we were walking around town, and these girls were following us, so I turned around and said, "Okay, girls, now you have to pose." And look, you can eat ordinary food if you want to in Malaysia. I once had a friend of mine at work when I was teaching here that he went to these countries, and I said, "Oh, wow, what kind of food you had?" "Oh, I mostly ate in McDonald's." Okay, so then we had we're almost at the end now. The last thing we did was a bus trip back to KL. And here's my beautiful wife sitting on the bus. It was quite a luxurious bus. And we're driving along. It's maybe 200 miles, 300 miles back. It was like a 5-hour journey. I can't remember. And all of a sudden the bus pulls into a lay-by and stops. No reason. And this guy comes up on a motorcycle. And we can't figure out what's going on. What's he doing? He parks his motorcycle right in front of the bus. And then finally we realized what happened. The bus got a crack from a stone chip, and the driver didn't want to go any further. So obviously he'd phoned this guy, and this guy runs a portable windshield repair company. And he drives up, and right by the side of the road, he fixes the crack in your window. That's it. Finished.
Wow. Wow. Oh, well, let me access some of the questions because there were a lot.
Okay, it says screen sharing. No, baby, it's not working. Okay, stop sharing. You have to find that for me. Oh, stop share. Okay, there we go. Okay, stop share. There we go.
Okay, wow, that was what a trip. Oh my gosh.
Well
so
done,
how many days were you there?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Did you feel like you got to cover everything you wanted to, or?
Yeah, the reason I picked this, when I was talking to Kathleen earlier, I told her that we've traveled in a lot of different countries. We've done a lot of adventures, mostly seat of the pants like that. Malaysia was a very good one. It was better than we expected. We knew it would be good, but you know, it was really good. It was really good. The only disappointing thing from our point of view is that out of the 3 weeks, we only had 5 days on the Vespa, you know, because we really like to go around northern Thailand on motorcycles and stuff like that, which gives you tremendous freedom. But we picked good places to stop where we could walk around, and where we were worried beforehand, we shouldn't have been worried, because to rent a taxi for the day, you know, $40, the guy spends 8 hours with you and drives you around to all the things. That worked out fabulous. And we did that on 2 occasions. So it worked out really excellent.
Really interesting.
What, Mary?
I said, so interesting. A place I've never been, no place like that. So I've been to Asia, but not to Malaysia.
Yeah, people would not naturally pick out Malaysia as a place to go. It is a fabulous place to go.
It really looked interesting.
So did you do the currency exchange? So you were paying for everything in their currency before you went?
We were talking about that. Sandor and I were talking about that last night. And I couldn't really remember, but she claimed that what we did was we took wads of Australian cash. So you know, I don't think, and we would change it little by little. You would never be in a big town and have a problem changing money. And certainly American money would be no problem whatsoever. The only proviso, especially with American money, if people that haven't traveled overseas don't know, gotta be perfect. Yes. Gotta be perfect. You know, gotta be perfect. You get $50 and $100 bills, and they're nice and clean. None of their crappy old money. They won't take it.
Yep. No, don't turn corners, nothing dirty.
That's it, babe. You know, one little, you know, I can remember in Thailand, I've been trying to change money, and the guy brings out, oh, can't take this one. Why? Oh, look over there on the corner. There's a little slit, like 1/8 of an inch. You know, oh, sorry, you can't take that one.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jim, we'll have to see when, actually, I have you on this bigger speaker, but we have Jim from the UK joining us today. He said, great stuff. Loved all the murals and the motorcycle, obviously. Okay. So I look forward to seeing him. Is that, there you are. Hi, sorry, Jim. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, welcome.
Oh, that's my buddy. That's my motorcycle buddy.
Oh, yeah.
It's dark in his house because it's like midnight.
Okay.
But just after 1 o'clock. Yeah, yeah.
My dinner's finished, so I need to get it out of the oven. So I'm going to take off. But
all right. Well, thank you, Mary. Good to see you today.
So, Jim, bye-bye. How much did you see? How much did you see?
Who?
Jim, how much did you see?
Oh, I saw it all, Ron. Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I have to tell a story about my friend Jim. When I was trying to go to England and Europe about 20 years ago, I was searching around on the internet to try and figure out how I could get a motorcycle. And I saw this guy, Jim, saying that he was going to travel around or something and rent a bike and so on in America. And I said to him, oh, that's a shitty idea. Well, you know, why don't you come to America and take my motorcycle? I had a motorcycle in Los Angeles at the time. So once I'd made that offer, you know, like most nice people in the world, he felt, you know, necessary to make a reciprocal. So he said, well, then you can come to England and take my motorcycle. So that's what I did. And he's never been to America to take my motorcycle. I took Jim's motorcycle all over Norway, Sweden, Denmark, you know, all this stuff. And, you know, it's amazing how the world works, you know. So I land in Sheffield or someplace, and he comes and picks me up, you know, and takes me back to his house with his wife. And so they got the motorcycle in the garage all ready for me to go. And they didn't know who I was, you know. So I'm sitting in the living room, and I listened to him talking to his wife. She says, well, how is he? And he says, gee, he seems like a really nice guy. So I thought, oh, that's great. They're going to give me the motorcycle. The next morning, he took me out to the garage, opens the garage door, starts up the bike, and I'm off to Scandinavia. Jim's fantastic.
Wow, that's a great story. Well, Jim, is the motorcycle still in LA?
Yeah, my motorcycle is still in NA, but it hasn't turned a wheel in 10 years now.
Ah.
As you know, we're locked out. Here in Australia, we're not allowed to go anywhere.
Ah.
Yeah, okay. More. Anyway, I'll bid you all good night, or, well, good evening over there, I guess. And,
well, thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks very much for having me.
Okay, take it easy, Jim.
Bye-bye. So there's a comment about the food is fairly spicy, or is it your choice of spicy or not?
Yeah, your choice. Your choice. No. Of course, you know, with the Burmese wife, I've gotten used to more spicy food than I had before in my previous life. But no, it's definitely not spicy so that people would worry. It's your choice. Your choice. You especially, you know, as a white guy there, they would always ask you, You know, if the food is spicy, they don't want to, you know, meet your displeasure. So they would say, do you want it spicy? And you just say, no, thank you. No problem.
That's nice. Yep. There was a comment from Stan or Sandra that said when you had the sign about the disappearing shoes, and they said that they, after a shoe disappearing, they now put their shoes in their backpacks.
All right. Well, I think that the whole idea of thievery and so on when you're traveling around Asia, I don't worry about that too much. Most of these signs are to look and laugh at.
Okay.
Not
yeah, well, but when you lose your shoes and you can't do the rest of the day, you start.
That's right. Right. You're right. The chances of a problem are infinitesimal, but if you do have the problem, the circumstances are not very good.
Right. We had it in Thailand.
In Thailand?
We were in one of those big temples, and it was
the capital.
It was in Bangkok, and it was totally what's the word, symmetric. There was entrances on both sides, and all these places to put your shoes. And we went all the way around looking at these giant Buddhas, and we came out, and everything looked exactly the same, but our shoes were not there, and we were panicking. But then we
spent the next half hour looking for it, and then we totally lost our tour guide and our friends. And then so we were lost in the whole temple grounds in the rain with no shoes.
But when we went out the other door, it was absolutely identical, and there were our shoes.
All right, somebody had moved them.
No, it was a totally symmetrical.
Right. You'd lost the idea of where you'd come in and out. Yeah,
exactly.
Local shopping center.
That's funny. Wow.
Okay, listen, I'm going to go. I hope people enjoyed it. And as I said to Kathleen, we've got lots of these places. And the only thing I would request is more than 1.5 days notice before we make up the next one.
Yes, definitely.
We have the pictures, but we don't have the PowerPoint, and that takes my wife a fair amount of time to make up.
Well, thank you for really jumping in. Otherwise, I would have just been on chatting. So everybody really appreciates your doing this, Ron. Thank you.
No problem. Kathleen, about how long would it take? Are you still recording them and putting them on the website?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, because I have some friends that would like to see it, but would like to see it on their own schedule. So maybe in a couple of weeks, or what do you think?
Probably a little bit faster than that, because, most of it, there weren't any technical problems that have to be edited out or anything like that. So if you go on our blog and get click on the links to get to the YouTube channel. If you subscribe to it, you'll get a notice when it's posted. You'll just get an email when something's posted. So that might work out well.
Kathleen, tell them it's Evergreen Homestays.
Okay, so it's like YouTube Evergreen Homestays.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, we're going to sign in. Okay, thanks again.
Thank you again. Really been fun. Bye, Sandar. All right.